Hello, everyone. I'm André from the Mental Health, and I'm here with Professor David Baldwin, President of the BAP from Southampton. David, hello.
Hello.
You must be having a lovely time, a pretty hectic time at the day 2 of the BAP summer meeting.
Yes, it's going really well. We've got a very vibrant meeting, lots of enthusiasm, a good kind of feeling about it all, but it is certainly very tiring.
Yes, absolutely. End of a chapter for you, I guess. Coming to the end of your presidency of this amazing organisation, handing over to Catherine Harmer.
Yeah.
I guess the last few years have been pretty interesting, just generally in this country. Have you achieved what you'd hoped you would achieve as president?
I hope so. It struck me that when I was becoming president, that some things would look after themselves. We have really good systems for maintaining the quality of the scientific program and our educational meeting. But I wondered if we could be doing more for our membership as a society and also for broader society and even the environment. So I set myself a few challenges relating to that. And I think we've done pretty well in meeting those challenges. For example, for our members, we were really keen to increase opportunities for the early stage researchers. So we increased the number of internships which were available. We made an appointment onto council of someone with a specific remit for looking after the needs of early stage researchers. And just for this meeting, we've implemented a system whereby people can apply for bursaries for caring needs to help them come to the meeting if they've got dependents back at home that need looking after. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm also very interested in the voice of experience of patients with mental health problems. And it always struck me that more could be done so we could hear the voices of those patients more clearly. I'm really delighted that over the course of the last few months, actually, a long cherished plan has been implemented, which is to have an experts by experience advisory panel. We've met a few times. Members from that panel will be talking tomorrow afternoon in the meeting. And the idea of the panel is it will guide BAP on things like consensus statements and clinical guidelines, and also to some degree the content of our scientific program, to make sure, as I said, that the voices of patients and carers even can be heard a little more clearly. We've also looked at the environmental footprint and developed a sustainability statement. And yeah, that might sound a bit boring, but actually I thought it was really important that the people we invite to our meetings could include the costs of carbon offsetting within their travel expenses and have those reimbursed. So there wouldn't be any kind of disincentive to travel because that concern would be addressed by our organisation. And we also revised our statement relating to equality and diversity and inclusivity. We've always been really good at making sure there's a nice balance of preclinical and clinical research and the genders in our speakers. But I wanted to do a little bit more to think about, I suppose you might call it ethnicity, people's background.
Yes.
And also where they work, their geographic dispersion, because I thought it was a really important consideration to examine and effect whilst I was president.
Fabulous. Thank you. That's a really great summary. And yeah, lots of stuff in there. I'm particularly interested in the lived experience involvement and that expert group, the advisory group. That's fantastic to see. And I suppose ensuring that the diversity of that group is one of the ways that you can build on the diversity of the organisation more widely. How are you doing that?
I suppose you might call it a trial at the moment. It's for 2 years to see how things go. So we have 3 members at the moment whose concerns I think you could summarize as relating to psychosis, to obsessive compulsive disorder, and to chronic anxiety, depression, really burdensome conditions. Obviously, not all conditions can be represented, but we invited applications and we thought it would be really important to include people who've had good experiences as well as bad experiences, or maybe balanced experiences of the benefits and potential hazards associated with psychotropic drug treatments. I'm pretty pleased with the way the panel has developed, but as I said, it is a trial. It could be that we need more members of the panel and maybe the remit will be broadened. So we're evaluating it over the first couple of years and then maybe thinking about expanding it after that point.
Fantastic. There's lots of uncertainty in the world at the moment, and I wonder what you think the big challenges are for BAP to retain its position and kind of do this reaching out and diversification work. It's not necessarily something you as president are going to have to deal with, but what do you think Catherine is going to have to deal with?
One of the themes of this meeting so far has been thinking about what people are really bothered by. People aren't bothered by having DSM-5 major depression. They're bothered by the fact that they can't sleep.
Yeah.
Or they can't do the things that they used to be able to do before they became unwell. So actually, I think to have more attention to symptom-based interventions would be a really good way forward. Some of these may be pharmacological, some psychological, some may be relating to neurostimulation, and some to do with social and family interventions. And I've always felt that the BAP is a very broad church. And yes, within our title, we're focusing on pharmacology, but pharmacological treatments always need to be understood within the individual family and social context.
Yeah, absolutely. It rings very much with what Akim Souley was saying yesterday in his discussion about how we can bring clinicians and their kind of social perspective towards research. I guess there's getting people to BAP to diversify it, but then there's also getting BAP to other places to reach out. How do you see that happening?
It's been really good to have the mental health team involved. Actually, we first tried it a year ago and judged it to be a success. We wanted to see if we could extend that partnership. I get the feeling that it's going well in terms of social media activity. This year, we had many more interviews with people prior to the meeting and during the meeting. And I think it would be really fantastic if people at their posters also had the opportunity to be interviewed to describe their work. And I think that would be a really nice way forward. Of course, this is relating to our summer meeting. We need to think about BAP over the course of the whole year, not just the half a week that we're all gathered together, and to think about how we can extend our reach in social media is going to be a challenge for Catherine, but it's certainly on the agenda for Council.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, thank you for the compliment. I wasn't fishing for a mental health compliment, but very lovely. I think certainly the guidance, the consensus statements, there's really high quality evidence that BAP produces that is reaching your membership, but isn't necessarily reaching beyond that. And I think there's a real opportunity with that.
Yes, thank you. In fact, one of the things that we discussed recently was revising our guidelines relating to a few conditions, particularly psychosis, to depression, and to substance use disorders and alcohol use disorders. So that is now underway. It always takes time to write a guideline.
Yeah.
It might be a year and a half or so. But this is where the expert by experience advisory panel comes in, because members from the panel are also involved in that process to make sure that there are general summaries that can be readily understood by the general population. And I hope those summaries would have quite a reach.
Yeah. Fabulous. I'm going to let you go because it's a busy conference. I'm sure lots of people want to catch up with you, but thank you very much for inviting us along again. And yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of it.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.